All right. Hello? Hello? All right, yeah, we're good.
Mic check, mic check.
Mic check, 1, 2. All right, everyone, welcome to the Unfiltered and Elevated podcast. Today we have Juan Vallejos from Bay Hauling, and I'm going to give a little background about your company and what he's done. So he's been established since 2019. Bay Hauling has become an industry leader and an award-winning junk removal company servicing the entire Bay Area. In 2021, we were named Small Business of the Year by the Vallejo Chamber of Commerce. That same year, Bay Hauling was invited to a national convention in North Carolina as a guest speaker at JunkCon 21. While being very active members in the Benicia Chamber, Bay Hauling is also represented on the board of directors for the Solano Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and the Leadership Vallejo Curriculum Committee. As an equal opportunity employer, Bay Hauling is also a certified minority-owned business. So welcome, Juan, to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. So this podcast is mainly just to help people that are either new into business or are on the fence whether they want to become a business owner, or just anyone that's looking for little tips and tweaks that can help their companies be more successful. So let's just give people some tips.
Yeah, man.
So let's just get started here. So a question I have for you is, who are you? And talk about a little bit about your background and how you ended up becoming an entrepreneur, like why you started your company, what led you to that.
Yeah, definitely, man. So I think I got a lot of the example from my dad. He was kind of an entrepreneur as well. In Mexico, he had like restaurants, and when we moved to the U.S., he did real estate and some construction work too. And so he was always kind of independent and just a hustler, man. So I think that gave me a lot of the influence. But basically, I was born in Mexico. My family and I moved out here when I was 6 in the 90s. Pretty much lived in Vallejo my entire life. And that's where I met my wife. She was my high school sweetheart. We have 3 kids together. We just bought our second home in Vacaville.
Nice.
A couple years ago. So, I mean, we're pretty much living the American dream.
That's dope. Vallejo's a tough area to be raised in. I know growing up, we'd go out there to parties and shit, and there's always like crazy stuff happening down there.
Yeah. In that same, in the other extreme, Vallejo's kind of a place where like it just builds a lot of character. So like, some of our role models were just hustlers too, man. And so like just being from Vallejo kind of gives you there's something different in the water, man. So like that natural like hustle, the grit is just kind of in people that are raised out there for some reason. So, I mean, it was kind of a blessing to be to have grown up over there.
That's cool, man. And so tell people a little bit about what your business does and what you're in. Like, what do you guys do? What's your, like, overall operations look like throughout your day?
Yeah. So it's pretty simple. We do, like, junk removal. When people don't want stuff from, like, their house or their business, they call us to get rid of it for them and dispose of it properly. So we work with a lot of, like, residential clients, but we also have a lot of, like, commercial accounts, too. Anything from like a single couch to like multiple truckloads of construction debris, we can handle it all. And one of the good things about us is that we're local. We're not a national franchise. We do operate like they do as far as like having a lot of capacity. We got full staff. We got new trucks. We're fully licensed and insured. So I mean, junk removal could be kind of a grimy industry. There's a lot of like owner operators. Some guys are really honest, but you always got those guys that are dumping stuff on the side of the road. So you could really hire like an uncle and buy him pizza and beer to, put stuff in his pickup and take it to the dump. But the convenience factor comes in when we come. It's consistent. You got professional guys in uniform, really nice people. And you know that when you're like in a crunch or something, we'll come out and bang it out. And it's always a professional service.
Yeah, I noticed when we were looking for a junk removal company, and I remember I met you, and I was like, dude, let's call my boy Juan. He owns a hauling company. Let's hit him up. And dude, your process was so easy. Went on the app, booked it. I got a call. Like it was super effective and efficient. So that process right there was like good to deal with as like a customer. But like we own a construction company, so we deal with hundreds of vendors, contractors, suppliers, and I was like, damn, dude, if more people were like the way you set up your business, everything would be so much easier for everyone, not only you but also for me. I don't know if you've noticed, but if you call like 5 or 10 companies on Google that are any trade, electricians, plumbers, dude, they don't answer their phones.
Yeah, that's
That's
crazy.
that's like I don't understand. I called 10 general contractors the other day, and half of them didn't answer their phone. And you know when you're looking for something, you go to the next person on the list.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I mean, I don't know how what methods you guys use for marketing, but we pay a lot of money for leads, and to just the thought of having people actually buy into your lead generation, and then you don't answer the phone. That's just money. You're flushing money down the toilet and stuff. One of the things that you mentioned when we spoke in the past was when you run into problems, you find a solution. It's kind of once you have that solution, you build that process in that system. Next time that same problem comes around, you're able to fix it, and that's kind of the way we try to operate. Is like there's always been an issue that's been kind of pressing for a while, and we find a way to solve it, and then that's one less thing we have to worry about in business. And so answering the phones or even having more than one person doing all the jobs, all that stuff kind of came from a problem that arose, and we have to find a solution for it. So I think you understand what it takes to kind of build those processes and stuff.
Yeah, I remember when we first started, we had the Google phone hooked up to my phone, and I remember being at job sites, dude, like working and then answering the phone too, like hi, this is Vino General Contracting, and you're in the middle of doing work, you have to go outside the building, answer the phone.
Yeah.
And one day I'm like, dude, I need to figure something out. I can't be answering the phone and working and doing all this shit. Like,
Yeah.
what do I need to do? Like, and I started looking. All right, we need to hire a company that just answers, or hire someone that can just sit there and answer the phone for us. That's number one, dude. If you're not answering the phone, you're losing
Yeah.
business all day.
It's kind of hard to let go of some of those like processes. You're good at answering the phone, selling jobs. You know that you could go bang out a job and be really efficient about how you pack a truck, but it's always urgent to get the jobs done, but it's more important to just get people to do it for you.
Yeah.
Just because then now if you have a good system, then you could just spread your wings out a little farther and
Yep.
help more clients at the same time. So it's hard. It's hard to like trust people at the job that they're gonna do a good job like you would. It's hard to trust somebody to answer your phone calls and deal with your clients, because you don't want to mess any of those processes up. But
Yeah.
I think once you again build a system, have a scalable process that you can teach somebody how to do the job the right way, then it's easier to just delegate all those processes.
Yeah, that's one thing we have troubles with scaling, because we do so much. Like, it's hard to, we're trying to figure out how to do systems for each thing we're doing. And it's like, we do bathrooms, kitchens, decks, house renovations, multi-rooms, new additions, new construction, outside like landscaping sometimes, when it's like a deck mixed with like a retaining wall and like a arbor, a trellis. So we're like, dude, how do we come up with the systems for so many processes? And it's like, I think it comes to a point where you need to just pick out the things you're best at, or the things that make you the most money,
Right.
and just get rid of the rest of the stuff that, and we haven't even done that yet. We haven't sat down and looked at our books and seen and actually ran the cost, like, okay, this job, like, this is not making us money right here.
Yeah.
So it's like we still need to figure all that out. And I mean, we're making millions of dollars every year, but even then, it's like the more focus you can get, I think the better your systems are going to get, because now you're doing the same thing over and over.
Yeah, when it's easy to manage a smaller company, right? Because when you get bigger, and mistakes happen, those mistakes are more costly. Those are bigger mistakes, and so one of the biggest mistakes that we made as our business started growing was not having a really good handle on our financials and not knowing all the numbers. When things are going good, you're just like, hey, great.
Yeah, is money in the bank?
It's money in the bank, but when the money starts, when you start spending more money than you're producing, then you're like, what's happening?
Yeah.
You don't got a really good handle on your financials. It's easy for it to get away. So one of our, learning curves was really getting a handle on what our financials are. Like what's our daily budget, and what's our team's production per hour, what's the gross profit percentage, how much are we spending on direct labor, disposal fees, cost of goods sold. Like before, you ask me any of those questions, I might start going cross-eyed on you. But now we kind of learn how important it is to know every single thing that's going on in your business, and the value of that is so great, because when something starts slipping, you identify it right away, and you can kind of address it without letting it get out of hand or whatever.
That's one of the things I'm starting to notice. Like as we grow, there's so many transactions that a lot of things like you don't even know what's happening anymore. There's
Yeah.
like you getting charged over here, over here, over there. Money's coming in here, there, everywhere, and then you're like, what the hell? Like I got charged $800 for this. Like what was this? Like a late fee, and you don't even realize a lot of these things. So that's why it's good having a good accountant though, because they're the ones that point these things out. Like they're the ones going through every single detail, and they're like, hey, like you have this here, that, or why did you get this, or did you know about this?
Right.
They'll point those things out to you, and because
Yeah.
you're how are you gonna notice that after you have 1,000? Like we probably spend $60,000 at Home Depot in a couple months. That's
Right.
just Home Depot. Imagine all the other stores, paint
Right.
stores,
Yeah.
supply stores, labor.
Yeah, I mean, even as you're hiring like accountants, you have to know a little bit about what's going on. Like when you're starting a business, you're good at something. That's why you think it's a good idea to start a business. I'm sure you guys were good with your hands, tradesmen. You knew how to do the work. And us too. Like it wasn't rocket science to figure out how to get garbage into the truck and
Yeah.
get to the demos, but the misconception is always because you know how to do a trade that you're gonna know how to run a business, and that's
No.
never true. Like you now have to learn how to be marketing. You got to learn finances. You got to learn how to manage people. You got to learn how to scale. All this stuff comes with like new knowledge you're not born with, and it's like a lot of people kind of get scared of that and just revert back to just being small. But the people that are willing to take that challenge and watch the business grow are the ones that are willing to go out and become a marketing person and
Yeah.
learn how to do finances and learn how to navigate Google Ads and Yelp and whatever it is to grow that business. It's not for everybody, man. So I know
Yeah.
in the beginning you talked about a little bit about what would you tell somebody that's going to start a business? Is just make sure that your heart's in it, and you're ready, to be out of your comfort zone, because it's not about just baking pies,
Yeah.
when you want to start a bakery and stuff. There's a lot more involved to running a business.
And I mean, the name of this podcast is Unfiltered for a reason. Like you got to be like tell people how it really is, dude. It's not easy. Like I think a lot of the younger crowd and just everyone really just thinks like, oh, I'm gonna be an entrepreneur, I'm gonna go start a business, but they don't know like how much shit comes along with you get the good money that comes along with it, but there's also the bad side, which is
Yeah.
all the struggles, endless sleep nights, the balancing with the family and the business, and how do you like there has to be a like a con to every positive. So
Yeah.
that's one thing that I think it'd be good to let people know. Like, what are some of the things you deal with? Like, what are some struggles you've dealt with as a business owner?
Yeah.
Like, what do you like? Let people know how it is.
Man, one of the things that immediately rings the bell is just learning as we were growing, as my vision was so big and my eyes started getting big as the business started showing some potential. It was a tough way. I had to learn the tough way that your top line is for vanity, but your bottom line is for sanity. And so, yeah, it was cool to have 5-6 trucks and have 12 employees. When people ask me, "Oh, how many employees you have?" Yeah, I got 12, 15 people. How much are you doing a year? And you start telling them the kind of money that your business produces, but that doesn't always necessarily mean that you're bringing a lot of that money home and stuff. And so it was more important for me to like learn how to like start running an efficient business as opposed to just one that was growing. And
Yeah.
one of the books that I read, Profit First, talks about how a business can sometimes turn into like Frankenstein. It's something that you work on, you build, but next thing you know, it's trying to kill you and stuff.
Yeah.
And so it's really hard to control that monster as it grows and not just let your eyes get really big and just think grow.
And that's like what, like when you're disorganized, you mean, or when you're like don't
Yeah,
have those systems?
like, but when you start seeing like one truck working and 2 trucks working, and you're like, hey, it's easy. You just add a truck, add some guys, and then start spending more on advertising, and that's it. But as the business grows, you start kind of looking at it like like you're building this big old skyscraper, but you didn't build the right kind of foundation,
Yeah.
you know, and so that thing is about to start sinking here pretty soon, man.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's just like just navigating it, man, and just in the beginning you think it's very simple, but then you start having to deal with like people, you know, and bigger accounts require more insurance, and you know, shit happens, dude. And you know, it's not about things are gonna happen. That's a guarantee.
Yeah.
But it's all about how you react to it, man, and what do you do next, you know? And so, um, that happened to us. We grew too fast. I didn't really build a good foundation. My systems and processes weren't there. I didn't have a training system. I didn't have contingency plans when shit happened. You know, when we got into an accident, or when a key player left the team, or when business starts getting slow, or when we can't handle capacity. You know, like we have too much work or too little work. There wasn't a handbook I could pick up and read how to solve those problems. A lot of the shit I had to learn the hard way. Then over time, you know, I got some mentors, you know, paid for some mentorship, and realized the value of not being the smartest person in the room.
Yeah.
You just learn, man. You just keep learning.
And yeah, it's like there's always knowledge you don't know. So it's like you don't have to be the smartest, book smart person to start a company. You just need to have like you said, growing up in a tough place teaches you. And I was just listening to someone talk about this. They were saying that the problem with that rich kids that go to like high level schools is that they weren't raised in the trenches. So for us, like that, we're raised, you know, with, you know, just we're around a lot more exposure of like gangs, drugs, and all kinds of stuff when we're growing up, versus like richer, nicer areas. But
Yeah.
even like just going through those kind of things, we deal with things that they don't. So it teaches you, like we learn stuff that's like street kind of, how would you say, like defense skills, or
Yeah.
like just skills where you don't give up easily.
Right.
Or you like go through, you have like a tougher skin.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that, man. Like, when people ask me, like, man, like, you know what, were you good in school and stuff? I wasn't bad, you know, but I, like, even now, if you ask me, like, what do you think, what trades do you have or attributes do you have that make you good in business? And I'm like, let me think about that, you know, like, shoot, I'm not very good at using the computer. I'm not very, like, none of those things that I had to learn how to do, I did, none of those things came naturally. So I don't really think I was very good at anything, man, but I was just too damn stubborn to quit, man. And
Yeah.
so like every time things got hard, and where most people would have been like, hey, hang it up, bro, you know, cut your losses and just move on to the next thing, I was like, no, I'm gonna make it work, man, because I was just stubborn, bro. I didn't know how to take defeat and stuff, and so I just kept going, and it worked. It finally did work. And so, like, it doesn't get any easier, you know what I mean? But now I've kind of learned how to, you know, how to deal with the harsh waters and stuff, you know, and I don't panic anymore, you know. I know there's a solution. I got a lot of faith in God and stuff, man. I know that he has a plan for me already, so
Yeah.
I just let him take the wheel now, man. Like before, I thought it was just like, you know, you talked about taking ownership and everything. I'd always like blame outside factors like the economy,
Mhm.
or you know, inflation, or gas prices, or the war, you know, overseas. And then once I learned how to just like take ownership of every situation, then it's like, well, no, I'm in control of everything,
Yeah.
man. Like, I gotta focus on the things I can control: my disposal percentages, my direct labor, you know, my idling on the trucks or whatever. There's always ways to like find a solution, man, but you always gotta just point the finger right back at yourself and figure out what you're doing wrong.
That's like who was it? The oil, it was Andrew Carnegie,
Yeah,
the oil guy.
yeah.
I remember that they were saying that no, he wasn't the oil guy, or was he?
Look it up, man. Google it.
But well, anyways, the guy that Rockefeller.
Okay, yeah, yeah,
Rockefeller. He, so I guess when he was trying to figure out how to save cost, he was just walking around his factory every day and looking, seeing how, like, what he could do to minimize costs. And he saw, like, in one of his machines, like, it was dripping a tiny bit, like one drop of oil out of the wherever the oil was supposed to be going, and that little drop that was going out, like every, like, I don't know what it was, like something ridiculously small though, but he's like, how do we, like, he figured out that he needs to get rid of that drip. So he got rid of that drip, and that like tripled his business. Like that little tiny drip of oil that was coming out like
That's
made
crazy.
him like I don't know how many more millions.
Yeah.
And I always think about that. I'm always like, what can we do in our business that's like a little, like I almost see it like a leak in a bucket. Like what are the little leaks that are in our business that we can patch up and fix? Because that
Right.
shit's like draining the money. It's draining the money or the resources,
Yeah. Yeah.
time, people, money.
Yeah, sometimes it's something very small, man. You reminded me of another story. I think it was like Southwest Airlines, and they were trying to figure out how to cut costs, and they used to serve martinis on the planes and in the airport with 2 olives, and they did the math. That's why it's always important to quantify, to know your numbers. They did the math of what it would cost to remove one of the olives and just put one, and it was millions and stuff.
Oh
And so
shit.
they didn't decide to like take the martini off the menu or stop serving olives or martinis altogether. They figured just remove one of those olives is gonna save us a shitload of money. And so
That's smart.
sometimes when we start running into problems, we're like, okay, let's find our olives, man. Where's our olives at, and how can we figure out how to solve this problem?
Yeah, that's what do you think about cuz I hear a lot of people saying like work life balance.
Yeah.
Like what do you think about balancing? And I was just talking to my girl about this. I was like, "You know what? Like there is no balance. Like you're either focused on 100%, like it's like if you take some of your focus to your family, your business goes down a little bit. Or if you take more focus on your health, then your business and your relationship go down a little bit. So it's like I almost think like if you really want to do it like really really big, you have to be really focused on one thing, and like you're gonna lack in other areas. But I think if like say you tell your family or your, you know, or if it's your health, like you have to put it aside a little bit, not be so good in those areas, but you're gonna focus 100% on the business,
Yeah.
which is gonna probably triple the, you know,
I,
the revenues or whatever's happening there.
I've had the pleasure to work with some colleagues that have way bigger companies than me around the country, and one thing we've been able to do is build these accountability teams, right? So we'll meet like twice a month, so every other week, but on a weekly cadence, we record like metrics, but also goals. So we have this goal
Mm.
setting session, and again, every 2 weeks when we meet, we talk about a personal win, a business win, and then we run over what we call RIT goals: recreational, introspective, and tactical. And your tactical, like you talked about earlier, is what we call you have a monthly goal, right? And your weekly tactical, you have four tactical goals that are gonna complete that monthly goal, and then every day you have a personal victory. So you start breaking it down to what do I do every day to complete my weekly tactical to complete this monthly goal that I have planned. So when you start breaking it down like that, and you have other people that are like keeping you accountable for it, then in my perspective, that's the best way to kind of balance it out.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's like these people are their businesses are way bigger. They're having way more success than I am, and so I admire all these guys, and they don't feel like it's corny to talk about their personal goals and family wins and stuff like that. So in my participation with that program, it's just helped me grow so much as a person. And so just a few examples, like the RIT goals again. The recreational would be like run 3 miles 4 times a week, or yeah, four
Yeah.
times a week. Date night on Friday, and Bible time with Andrea or whatever.
Yeah.
my middle daughter. Then my introspective would be finish 50% of Extreme Ownership or whatever book I'm reading. That's a goal. Then my tactical goal would be, for example, right now we're rolling out some bonus programs for the employees. I put, rolling out the KPI bonus, and the monthly the monthly goal is just to re-incentivize the whole team again. And so when you really break down what you want to do each month, what it's going to take on a weekly basis, and what you got to do every day to just like work through that, it's kind of easier to balance it out.
Yeah.
Then you throw in the accountability part. They pick a consequence for you if you don't do your stuff, and it's probably something like,
You shaved down or what?
oh man, we're not that mean, but like we've had people do like a cold, like a ice water
The
submersion,
cold plunge.
yeah, cold plunge, or A dude fasted for a whole day. I told him that since I was a kid, I hadn't ate eggplant parmesan or whatever. Since I had like a phobia since I was a little kid. And they made me go eat it, and it was great. I love that shit, man. Now I order it when I go to like Olive Garden or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, man, I think the accountability aspect and just being around other like-minded people and then just setting goals with each other, that's been like what I've been able to do, and I haven't been doing it for very long, but in the short period of time that I've been doing it, it's been, man, so much results. I've grown probably more in the last 6 months than I had like in the 6 years prior, and just it's all about just working the mind, exercising the body, the mind,
Yeah.
finding time for family. And I think right before we started recording, we were talking about like the art of saying no.
Yeah.
There's more stuff to do than time to do it, you know. And so when you say yes to something, you got to say no to something else. So if you go to this mixer, you can't you can't take wifey out on a date or whatever.
Mhm.
Or if you spend those extra 2-3 hours at work, then that's you might not make it to the baseball game. And so it's just, man, just balancing it out, man, knowing what's urgent but knowing what's important and stuff, and balancing that, those situations. And that's, again, in business, you don't have a handbook for this stuff, man. You kind of got to learn the hard way and stuff. But yeah, that's something that I've been working on a lot, is just identifying what's urgent but what's important and stuff. And like, I'll give you a couple examples. Like when we get really busy, I'll jump on the truck, man, and I'll go bang out a couple of jobs with one of the guys. And at that moment, that's the most urgent thing to do, is go deal with that client. But what the most important thing to do is put up a job ad, hire another dude, and so we're never low on capacity and stuff. But because I spent my time doing the urgent thing, I didn't have enough time to do what was more important. Same concept when, like, when you got kids, man, it's really urgent for them to clean their room, and you'll yell at them and they might do it, or you might say, hey, I'll buy you ice cream. It's urgent for them for you to tell them to clean their room, but it's more important for you to teach them the value of being a clean person and keeping your room clean and being responsible and stuff. So you sometimes you get blinded with everything that's going on that's extremely urgent, but you abandon what the most important things are. And so
We were just talking about this other, me and my partner is my brother Daniel, and we were like, dude, what? Like, we have so much shit to do. Like, there's so many things. If you think about what you need to do for your business, it's like an endless list. So we're like, all right, and for you guys that don't know what he's talking about, it's an Eisenhower matrix, and what that is it shows like important. Stephen Covey is the one that talks most about this.
Yeah.
But he talks about what's important and urgent, and then what's not important and not urgent.
Right.
And so you start putting things in these categories of like, okay, this is important, but it's not urgent.
Right.
And then, or this is not important and not urgent. So just get rid of it. If it's not important, not urgent, just throw it out the door. But yeah, if you guys don't know about the Eisenhower matrix, get on that and apply that to your business right away, because that's going to help you guys 10x like your time and your money.
Yeah, I went through that 7 habits of highly efficient human beings, or
The highly effective people.
highly effective people,
Yeah.
or something like that. But that had a lot of good concepts, man, that really started making me look at life a lot different, about changing your paradigms and how to prioritize your time and really identify what your values are and what your real principles are. So when it's time to pick what to say yes and no to, it's very simple to just see what aligns more with those principles and values. So it makes it easier to just navigate your time that way, when you're like, man, I would love to be doing this, but it just doesn't fall into what my mission is right now, And so in business, you're going to run into like a lot of people, like your buddies or whatever, that are not in business, and they just don't understand why now you've chosen to use your time a little different than going to Buffalo Wild Wings every Wednesday night or whatever, And so when you're very, very comfortable with what your mission is, and what those values are, then it's easy to just say, hey, man, as much as I would love to go, there's something just a little more important that I have to do right now. And I'm sure you understand, spending time with family to me right now is important, because I've been working all day, man. I only got a few more hours left of the night, and my priorities are at home or whatever.
And especially when you start thinking about it, like in how I just was talking about, like when you figure out your hourly rate as a business owner, it's like your watch, do it when you get home, or at some point this week, figure out your actual hourly rate, which is like your profits you take home, and you're gonna be like, holy shit, like I should not be spending time like doing anything at
Yeah.
this, and you're gonna start thinking about like, damn, like this just cost me like $400 just sitting here.
Man, dude, that was another thing. Even learning about paying yourself was something I did wrong for so long and stuff. And again, you gotta have a good CPA that'll tell you stuff like that. But we learned that like I can't just pay myself whatever I decide. There has to be a reasonable salary that you come up with. And you can't pay yourself less than that if you're gonna be like an S corp. So you have to pay yourself at least a certain amount. But I was paying myself like all like through a W-2 for a long time, and just probably paying thousands of dollars more in taxes than I should have. Till somebody told me like, hey, pay yourself a reasonable salary, and anything else that you need on top of that, you pay yourself a distribution, and that's taxed a lot different and stuff. So, shoot, man, I didn't know none of that shit, dude.
Yeah, I mean, shit. How you don't learn that till you get hit with the tax bill, and you're like, what the hell? Like, what do I do?
Right.
I need to minimize this situation here. Figure out a way to like, make it work for me. Because if it's not working out for your business, then what's the point? Like, and I think that helps, and you're able to create more jobs for people by like you minimizing what you pay in certain taxes in certain ways. It helps you hire more people and grow your company.
Right.
Overall.
Right. Yeah.
But one of the things I wanted to ask you was, how do you deal with failures? Like what do you see as a failure, running a business?
Man, I try not to even identify anything as a failure, man. I consider myself a winner, right, man? And like people that are winners, they never do lose. Either they win whatever they're doing, or they learn something from the loss or whatever. So even when we have a quote unquote failure, to me it's just a learning opportunity, man. So like, I mean, but if you want to get more direct, I mean, I there's nothing like that jumps on top of my head right now, but I just try to be very proactive, man. Like, there's not really anything that can't be solved. Like, we just don't fail. We're just gonna get better, and then whatever doesn't kill you only makes you stronger. So, I don't know, man. I mean, I hope that was the kind of answer you were looking for.
Yeah, I think you got it. That's how I think too. I think like, no matter what happens, like there's a solution to it. It might cost money or a lot of money, but there's a solution to it. Right. And usually that's what solves it.
Yeah.
A check. You write a check to someone and they'll solve the problem. But that's one thing I always tell the guys. I'm like, look, you guys, like, I know that things are gonna happen, and like I just want you guys to know it's okay. Like if you make a mistake, it's okay. What's not okay is that it happens consistently and again and again and again. Like if you make one big mistake, I hope you learn for the next time not to do that again.
Yeah.
And that's how like I see things. Like, all right, that was one big expensive mistake, and I think the mistakes that are more expensive are the ones that you really focus on the next time. You're like, all right, dude, do not, like last time that happened, like let's do it this way now.
Yeah.
And so that, like you said, it's just a lesson learned every time you make an error. So the more, I almost feel like, and I think Mark Cuban said this, the more errors you make, or the person that fails the most quickest is the one that gets to the top fastest, because they're just like boom boom trying things, failing, and they get to the top once they've already filtered all the shit that didn't work.
I think the only failure you can really do in that situation when like a mistake does happen is if you fail to address it, then that's a failure. And I've done that before, man. Like just those are usually the best opportunities to train somebody on how to do it correctly, is when they've done it wrong. And of course, like, you blame yourself again, like, man, sorry I didn't properly train you on how to do this. I know that, I could have probably set you up for success a little better.
Yeah.
But now we see what happens when this is done that way. Moving forward, we're going to do it this way, and we're going to avoid, that situation again. But if you fail to do that, then I think I would consider that a failure.
Yeah.
Or failing to address.
Or also, like, what I see as a failure is just giving up. That's a failure to me. Like once you try something and you're just like, you know what, that's it, I'm done. Yeah. That's what I see a failure as, like someone that just gave up.
Right. Or didn't try at least.
I'd rather see someone try and keep falling, and that to me is more of like a more powerful person than the guy that just tried it a couple times and gave up.
Yeah.
And went home, packed his shit and went home.
Yeah, man. Shoot, it's tempting though. It's tempting a lot, man.
And then I also wanted to ask you, how are you applying any? I know you have, because I've gone through your processes and stuff. But like, how are you using technology, and like, are you applying any AI technology to your company and like?
Yeah, we've started to use a lot of AI, mostly for like writing emails or just kind of work making stuff sound a little better. But that AI stuff is crazy, dude. Like you could literally have it draw up like a marketing plan for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a lot of capabilities. We do use it, not a whole lot, but like technology in general. I mean, this has really shaped the way we operate. I remember. I remember a long time ago before you could navigate on your phone, you had to go like on MapQuest and get a piece of paper that would give you like directions and stuff. And so the moment we were able to just GPS, at first people were like, "Oh, well, let me give you the directions on how to get there," and I'd be like, just put it on my
Yeah.
GPS, no worries." But as we continue using like technology, now we have like a software system that would like that helps us like collect all the data that we need so we can see what the metrics are. We could have a database for our clients. We could keep in touch with them like through email, texting. As before, I put everything on my Google Calendar. I might be writing stuff on a piece of paper, but now we're going to the job sites with iPads. We're able to dispatch the jobs to the truck teams. I mean, the truck's got dash cams with corrective driving. Like that has an AI system
Nice.
that'll give it like a driving report at the end of the month for each guy. We'll know if they're speeding, harsh
Oh
cornering,
damn.
eating, smoking, using the cell
What's
phone.
that called?
Blue Arrow Telematics is the one we use, but there's a bunch of companies that offer those dash cam systems.
That's
But
smart.
I mean, those are things that kind of cost money. Most people would think are unnecessary, but when you're looking to be extremely efficient, those are the kind of like
Yeah.
tools that you need. But I mean, anytime there's something that we can use or any way that we feel like technology could help us out, we definitely explore it, man. I mean, that's just the tip of the iceberg. We
Yeah.
do so much stuff as far as like virtual marketing and
Like it's crazy some of the new stuff you've seen, like how you can speak into something that creates the whole graphic. Like you can say, "Oh, put this person in construction working here doing this and having this in there and this in the background,"
yeah,
and it comes up with the picture.
yeah. I
Dude,
haven't went as far as using that, but I want
it's
to, man.
fucking crazy. I'm like, holy shit! Like you don't even need to do anything anymore.
Man, they got kids doing their homework on like having the AI do their homework
The
and reports and
essays.
stuff. Yeah, heck yeah.
That's
I
smart.
think it takes savviness to be able to find those resources and use them in your favor, man. So
Yeah.
I think if a kid has the smarts to figure out how to get through without actually having to do his work, man, that's not
Smart.
that's
I mean, that teaches the school, like, all right, like, obviously, this is, this is gonna be the future. So if a kid can use this and get the result we're asking for, they gotta start teaching something else.
yeah,
Because if it's pointless, like whatever they're teaching them, and they can just copy it off of, create the essay or whatever it is, like you got to think about what's the real point of what they're teaching. Then if a
I
computer can do it,
I still think about like the Terminator and all those crazy movies, man. When the AI thing, they're just when it gets. I don't know, man. I just think humans kind of tamper with stuff sometimes. And
yeah,
they need to keep their hands off of it. And AI to me really does fall in that category. So I think it's cool. I think it can save, like save lives
yeah.
and help connect people and help people. But I think if it gets into the wrong hands, man, it could be a dangerous,
Oh,
dangerous topic.
it can hit yeah, it can go real bad. Like say you get a person that codes a robot to kill a certain group of people.
Exactly.
Like how that's crazy because then it can happen.
Or
Someone can
like
get
the moment the machine decides it doesn't want to be terminated or discontinued or something,
it figures out a way to recode itself.
Yeah, I mean, shit, bro.
Yeah, that's gonna be crazy. We'll see. See. But yeah, no, we're always looking for ways to apply technology, and um, I mean, there's so much out there that you get caught in a loophole of things that you don't even know what to do anymore. But yeah, just looking for small stuff that helps you increase your productivity. All right, so one of the last questions I wanted to ask you is, what do you think about like what the difference is of being like what does this allow you to do when you own your own business versus when you're an employee? Like I know you probably were an employee at one time, and what do you think that change like helps you do now that wouldn't as an employee?
I think just and it's all like personality based. Everybody's gonna be different, but for me, was just kind of removing like the ceiling, of success or whatever. Obviously when you have a job, you could get promoted, you can grow within the company, but at some point your income is capped. And so I just, with the level of motivation that I have, I can't really see me just working somewhere. And I'm okay with like a helter skelter kind of lifestyle, man. Like
Yeah.
I celebrate my highs and my lows. So like sometimes life is great, sometimes life sucks, man.
Yeah.
But I'll put up with the sucky moments so I can have those great moments. And some people, they don't like those extremes, and so they just ride in the middle. I kind of wanna I'm willing to do the bad times so I could just have those great times. And so I don't know, for me, being in business provides that for me. Just the just being a mover and a shaker. That's kind of what I need in life, and being in business provides that for me.
I remember I read the book when I was working for a restaurant. I read the book Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah.
And I was just like, fuck, like, what am I doing here? Like, I'm like too smart to be working in this restaurant. Like, and I always would ask them, like, what can I do? Like, I need to make more money. I need to learn something new. Like, I'm not going to do this forever. Like, I already learned it. I mastered it. What else? Like, what else can I learn? Every job I would work, I was doing that. I was like, what else can I do? Like, I was always asking for more. And then they told me, like, oh, there's no more for right now. Like, you just got to stay where you're at. And I'm like, what? Like, that's when I realized, like, dude, they're setting a cap to my growth. And I was like, fuck this. Like, I need to go and do my own thing so that there is no cap.
Right.
There is no cap. You go out and sell as much as you want to sell. You do as much as you want to do. You work as much as you want, or you don't.
Right. I think it's a tough road, but like once you get it right, like we were just talking about, like we had our best 2 weeks while me and the family were on vacation. And so I mean, that's really what I'm in it for, is just the ability, like people say, make money while you sleep. It might not be while I sleep, but like if I'm having lunch or if I decide to take a couple of days off, my business doesn't have to shut down, or I don't have to ask for some days off of work and not make money on those days.
Yeah.
The show can continue, without me being there every day. And that's, I think, that's probably the best feature of just being my own boss, or being a business owner. Again, it comes with a lot of, to get there, it comes with a lot of struggle, and the days where you're back at work, those might be double as hard, because you missed a few days. But just having that option of doing that is incredible, man. And so sometimes when you're working for somebody and you don't get that day off, it's not good, man. Either you have to go to work, or you're gonna make your boss really upset. And so just having that flexibility, I think, is what I fell in love with.
Yes, like having someone control everything about your life, when you can go on vacation, what you can make, what you can and can't do. And I'm like, fuck this, dude. This is not my lifestyle. Like, I cannot have someone telling me how much I can make, what I need to do, when I need to take time off, I don't need to be asking people when I need to go to a dentist appointment. Like, come on.
I would say that it's easy to start your own business and again just end up creating another job for yourself.
Yeah.
So I would again just make sure that you know what you're getting into, but it could easily just become you're your own boss, but
now you work like twice as much.
Twice as much, and you're a slave to your company, man. And that's not a solution. In that case, I suggest you stay at your job where you're more secure. If you're not willing to get uncomfortable and figure out like the real process of learning how to be a business owner, of hiring employees, of delegating tasks, of really seeing a vision of how the thing could work without you there every single day. If you think you're just gonna, keep doing what you're doing 9 to 5, and you're gonna work harder and make more money, like, dude, don't do it. Just stay at your job, stay comfortable, because this shit is not easy, man. And like, being your own boss and having your own company doesn't necessarily mean that you're running a successful business. So I think learning the difference between that is probably the most important thing, man. If you're gonna get ready to start your own business.
Yeah, I remember I thought, like, I'm going to start my own business, and then I would work, like 8 to 10 hours at my normal job, and then, you start thinking about it, you're like, shit, now I work, like, 15 hours, like 12-hour days, like, damn, what happened? Because you stop tracking time now because you're just always doing shit, and that's when I was like, damn, dude, I work more hours, But like you said, once you come up with these systems, you bring in the right team, and everyone's helping you do little pieces of the puzzle.
Yeah.
You can eventually now take some time off. Things are still running, money's still being produced, and if you can find a way to do that while you sleep, that's the next level. If you
Yeah.
can figure out a way to do it while you sleep.
And in my case, we'd have to be like overseas where it's nighttime there and daytime here, and I'll be sleeping and they'll be busting out jobs, and I'll be making money while I sleep, man.
Shoot, send some guys to Alaska where it gets dark out there at night.
Heck yeah, man.
But yeah, dude. Well, thank you for coming to the podcast. How can people find you if they have any questions on your, on the hauling company side or business in general? What's your business name and your personal
Bay
name?
Hauling, we're Instagram, Facebook at Bay Hauling. You can always give us a buzz, 707-712-4430. You can check out our website, bayhauling.net. Google Bay Hauling, man. We're everywhere like the air. So if you look, you'll find. And we're here. We service the entire Bay Area. So wherever you need us, we can come out.
Cool, man. Thank you, man. Thank you for coming.
Hey,
Appreciate
thanks for having me, man. It's a pleasure.
It's a wrap.
That was cool, man. I think we got some good content.
Yeah. Hell yeah.